call the boys over to open up a jar or something.
Yes.
Like, hey, can you open this? I'm having trouble.
Yes.
They'd open it and they'd feel like, dun, dun, dun,
Yes.
And I love that. And moms, you can do that.
Hey friends, welcome to the Victor Marks Podcast with Victor Marks, founder of All Things Possible Ministries. Welcome to the show where we bring you real conversations faced with life's hard truths, stories of redemption, and the latest from the front lines. Whether you're on the road, getting your day started, or finally settling in, we've got an exciting new episode planned for you. So let's dive into today's show.
We're going to cover several very important things today. I think current topics from what's going on in the ministry world of us and ATP, All Things Possible, but also headline stuff because, folks, we want this to be just like if you were upstairs in our living room, because we're here at the ATP Training Center, Colorado, beautiful Colorado Springs. Weather's been great. Seasons are changing, but let's get to it. Make sure if you're not subscribed already, go to victormarks.com/show and subscribe, or YouTube, or any of the other outlets. So, babe,
Yes.
where do we start?
Well, I thought I would love to share a story that happened very recently.
Okay.
We went to work out, and it was in the evening time, not our normal time to work out. So there's a different crowd there. There was more young men there,
Yeah.
and I
Oh,
love
yeah.
yes. So I love you struck up a conversation. These young men, they were 16 years old, and one of the things that you said to them was, never take advantage of a young gal.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, I just thought, Victor, who is telling these young men don't do that? Because the culture says otherwise.
Yeah.
Not only do you take advantage of them, but that's your purpose. That's what their purpose is, these young women. So I heard Jordan Peterson say this, and actually he got very emotional, but he said young men have been demoralized today.
Yeah.
And they don't know who they are. They don't know what their role is. So they just give in to the culture's idea of who they are.
And you know what? On that, I wasn't telling these kids, young men, what to do. I was giving them permission to do the right thing. And I think that's what's different. This is how I started the conversation. They were getting on the machine, and I was walking up to it. So they were kind of like, "Hey, were you going to use this?" And I was going to jerk the chain pretty hard and say, "Get away from the machine." But they were really respectful. They're like, "Oh, sorry, if you want to." I said, "No big deal." I said, "No, you guys go." I said, "I wouldn't want to take y'all off. There's two y'all and just one old me. But I'd have my dog bite y'all if y'all acted up." And he started laughing. And this is what I said. "Hey, I just want to commend both of you for having and bringing and engaging in masculine activity as two young men." You know what their response was right away? They go, "Right?" Like they know that it's not super common. And that led open to me telling them about, what we do. And of course, when they find out I show them the video, because I always have that handy for conversation, the world's fastest gun this arm. The guy was like, "Oh my gosh, that's you? That's actually you?" And they get all excited. But then we really got into meaningful conversation of values, morals, moral code, doing what's right. And I am so hopeful for the younger generation because they want something that's big enough for their heart.
Yes.
So they just need men, as great as women are. Women can't lead these young men into what's needed. And as at a certain age, it's valuable. It's critical that young men get spoken into their lives by Like they mentioned, they had a great coach who was a veteran. So men want, I call them real models, not just role models, but guys that have done the deal, can speak from a position of truth, not just book knowledge. And I think it comes across even less preachy or, putting them down.
Well, I love it, Victor, because you can strike up a conversation, and because you use your humor and everything. But when you're talking about these men, they want to be strong. I just look back at our boys when they were little. They want to be strong. They flex when they're little boys.
They were wearing capes.
They're flex. They're showing, see, Mommy, look how strong I am.
Yeah.
That is in their DNA. I love that. They want to be strong. They want to be protectors. They want to be providers. But who is showing them that, what, this is how you're created?
Well, honey, I remember that you would, call the boys over to open up a jar or something. You're like, hey, can you open this? I'm having trouble.
Yes.
And they'd open it and they'd feel like, dun, dun, dun,
Yes.
And I love that. And moms, you can do that. Let your kids do dangerous things in a safe way. I think Jordan said that too.
Yes.
Where, and so much of philosophy aligns. I posted one of his videos and did a split screen this week. It was the top. It was the top post, and some things I'm shocked more than anybody when I see the reach. But folks out there listening and watching, they're hungry for truth, and they want to align with people that feel the same way. So that's why I think it's important, for people to hang out together, to get the podcast of people they appreciate and enjoy. And I'm excited, but yet a little bit challenged and concerned about some things. We're coming up on a midterm election, and I've heard way too many pastors and ministry leaders talk about, I just am called to share the gospel. I don't want to talk about political issues like, abortion, pro-life and all that. But yet it's a moral issue, and that's what I just don't get with some of these guys. And I've tried to be kind and then a little bit more spicy, where I'll just say, well, Pastor, all it takes is a little more courage to do both. Share the gospel and talk about issues that matter. But most guys are concerned that people leave their church. And what I say is let them leave. Our COO, Colonel Jeff Teagues, was in Delta, 1,000 missions, never lost a man, 5 Bronze Stars and a silver. He's a heavily decorated, highly respected member of the Special Operations community at the highest level, Delta. One of the things he said, he never made a decision based on the advancement of his career when he has to make a hard decision. And I think pastors should start to apply that same high integrity principle. Stop pandering to your flock or your board and do what God puts on your heart. But we got a nation in a state of emergency right now, right, Scout? And Scout agrees, because we just came off an operation here in the U.S. of helping those who've been trafficked or on the streets. And we did an operation with Homeland Security investigation. And folks, we need Christians to get involved, to be a light. It says faith without works is dead. Remember, across the street from that place in Kansas City was a church.
Right.
And I remember thinking, that church isn't doing anything to help these girls being prostituted, these women struggling. And one of them told me they went in that church, got zero help. Most of the time, modern day church, for what they're trying to fit people into, people who really struggle don't fit. and or in a real way, people concerned about the abuse that's going on. So many pastors are being busted for, absolutely heinous things, and I just go, why? So I'll tell you right now, there's an organization that we, on YouTube, actually Instagram, they're called Relentless Pursuit. You can find them at RPOR14. They're now one of our associate teams.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I was so encouraged to see this. They're in the middle of Kansas City. They're on this, the road that
The main
they're on.
drag. It's called the Blade.
Okay, but there's a name. Was it
The Blade.
The Blade?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's known for its prostitution.
Yep.
So they set up shop right in this community, and what I loved about it is the gals, the vulnerable of our culture, that they degrade themselves because they don't know that they're more valuable, but they know that this building is there for them. So
Yeah.
they walk in and they're loved, they're received, they're given food, they're given clothes, if they need a place to rest.
Yeah.
So Relentless Pursuit, I love their heart. And he's a sheriff, isn't he? A police officer?
He is. He's and he also he's in the special operations community.
So it takes someone like him, which is so sad. The church across the street
Yeah.
that is supposed to be taking care of the
Yeah.
vulnerable does nothing.
No, and if you meet Lee, who's the founder of this, we have history with him, including getting people out of Afghanistan and taking care of Afghan families here in the U.S. We posted about that. But he's a potty mouth. Lee's a ruffian, and yet I trust him more than I do a lot more pastors in the area of integrity and getting stuff done. Is that crazy or what?
Yeah.
But there's too many Christians work on an outward appearance, and yet their hearts inside, they're just dying instead of having light on the inside and being in the sanctification process. But Lee has done more in living out faith than most pastors. I'll just say it because it's true. And I've had people tell me, Victor, don't be so hard on the pastors. Well, I'm only being hard on the ones that are jackwagons, not the ones that are, doing the deal. Because I encourage y'all. I love y'all. And it's hard. It's hard being in ministry. You remember when I tried being a pastor?
I do. That was in Louisiana.
We started a little church.
We did.
We started a Calvary Chapel.
Yep.
Because we thought people would know about Chuck Smith.
In Louisiana.
And
But
they
you
didn't.
were not called, but you had to do that whole process to realize maybe I'm not called to be a pastor, which thank you, God,
Yeah.
because you're not. You are an evangelist.
Yeah, but it was good. We obeyed the Lord,
We did.
left our comfort zone, and we were from California. Went back to my home state, and for, was it 2 years?
It was like 18 months. I
You
had
the days.
the
Yeah.
days, the weeks, the months down.
It was hard. But God showed me this is what it's like to be a pastor and a pastor's wife. Remember some women from the church or another church saw you at the mall and they lit you up
I
because
had shorts on.
you're wearing shorts.
I know, but
You heathen.
I know. That was an exposure for me that I was never exposed to. I was not raised in the
Well,
church.
you're saying exposed, but let's clarify.
That was an exposure.
Yeah, these weren't
to-
booty shorts, people.
No. They were, but I was exposed to the culture, the church
A
culture.
religious mentality.
I'm actually glad I was, because I realized, God does not look at the exterior; He looks at the heart.
Yeah.
So that was a good learning lesson for me.
And folks, when you want to do ministry, or when you want to follow the Lord, it's not like, oh, when I get to be, then. No, it's the journey through in anything.
Yeah.
Remember, we had to live in a little hotel when we first got there for a while.
I was pregnant, and we had a little toddler, and I remember lifting up the couch cushion, and there were
Roaches.
hundreds and hundreds of roaches.
Yeah, welcome to Louisiana.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, our budget was non-existent. But we've always sought to follow the Lord wherever wherever he led us, to do whatever he wanted.
That's right.
And friends, follow him. That's the payday. I think of one of my heroes of the faith, Peter. Peter. I like Peter. Remember I made those bracelets?
Yes.
The little rubber ones?
WWPD.
WWPD. What would Peter do? Because I think I was more like him. I want to be like Jesus. I think I'm definitely more like him. But Peter, when he got out of the boat, it wasn't him saying, watch me walk on water, boys. He was saying, if that's you, Lord, if that's you, bid me to come to you. He wanted to be next to the Lord. The walking on water was just a byproduct of that, and that's what I would encourage everybody. Don't seek to be something, because you'll leave the Lord behind. And there are times, I self-admit, I've been so busy in ministry, doing stuff, traveling the world, hitting it. I mean, that I've stopped and said, Lord, I miss you. I'm sorry. I got doing what you wanted me to do.
And that's so easy to do.
It is.
Because we're doing things that are good. We're doing things that are right. But we are limited, because once we hit a wall and we haven't spent time with the Lord, I wanted to go back and talk about, you're talking about churches and, these people who, they're leading people, they're putting on big shows, they don't want to lose their congregants, but I'm telling you, I think this is the reason, and it's Psalms 36, and it talks about there's no fear of God before his eyes. So a pastor that is more concerned about offending the people that come to church rather than offending God, this is where I think this is the root of it. They're not afraid of God. It's like, do you not realize that you will stand before a holy God? I think this is missing. And the more that they get away from this, the more they get full of themselves, and it's all about them. And didn't you just read something about a pastor that's going to charge an exorbitant amount of money? For what?
I think it's Stephen Furtick. Is that his name? And he's definitely got a gift of communication, and a lot of people help by it. But I think he's one of those churches that are, I think are going to start to fade. The show churches, but yeah, they're doing a concert in L.A., and I read from, I think, Julie Roy's, that the front row tickets are $1,000. Tickets start at $40, and I understand, events and all that.
So is it a fundraiser, or is it just a concert, just an event?
I don't know. $1,000 pretty stiff for
a worship band.
Yeah, for a worship band, front row seats. So, hey, and if you like Stephen and all that, it's cool. But man, $1,000. Make sure if you got that type of money, they are using it for good work. I'm more of a Sean Foch type of fella. He's a friend. We've done some events together. But yeah, he leads people in worship to the Lord. And his presence strong. And believe me, he's just as strong in the presence of the Lord backstage than he is on stage. And that's where that's where I hold a lot of respect for him and his family. And they, like us, just follow the Lord wherever. Lord, what do you want us to do? Stay tuned for the next episode, because I want us to continue this conversation.
Okay.
But folks, thank you. And listen, here's our plug. This show's being sponsored by Peaceful Sleep. It's how we get rest.
Yes.
Even just this week we were talking, I've slept a couple of nights, over 7 hours a night.
Yeah.
Last night it was 6.5. For me and my background, 16 times to Iraq, Syria, and the work that we do, sleep has evaded me often for many years. And I'll just tell you, this is the best thing we've ever used.
Well,
From prescription
yes.
to everybody singing us,
Yes.
natural products. So
Peaceful sleep, and you can get it at mytriawellness.com.
yeah, my tree of wellness.
Yes, and the sleep, there are many things that we can go without in this life.
Yeah.
But sleep is not one of them.
Or even fabricate. You can fabricate energy. You can drink
Right,
caffeine.
right. But you
Rest. There's no substitution
No.
for pure rest.
Yes.
So final thing on that, what I love. I've had bad dreams, haven't I?
Yes, you have very intense dreams.
Yeah.
Yes.
Coming out of the bed, full sweats. The intensity of things I've done or been through, or how I'm wired, and listen. I have really good dreams. They still may be stressful in the content, but they're not stressful in my emotions. So, I have to shoot a guy. Well, it's all calm. I'm super calm. There's a plane's going to crash or a helicopter. I just get out of it.
Right.
There's conflict. I know it sounds weird for a plug for peaceful sleep, but there's a big difference if you're having to use a blade in your dream to stop an evil man. It's all just calm to me. Some of you are going to get it. Some of you are going to go, wow, okay, that's really interesting. That's my first plug. So yeah, this show was sponsored by Peaceful Sleep,
triawellness.com.
God bless you guys. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, do it for the glory of God. Now go get it done.
Thanks for joining us for today's episode. We'd love to stay connected with you and invite you to the conversation beyond this podcast. You can check out more of the work we're doing around the world at victormarks.com, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all linked in the show notes. Be sure to drop us a comment in the review section if today's show has impacted you in any way, or if there's anything you'd like to hear more of. We're always encouraged to hear from you. Thanks for spending your time with us. Until next time.